Welcome to Nerd News Now for August 15th, 2018. Today we'll be discussing the release of Avengers Infinity War on Blu-ray. Will you get a copy? Do you care where it comes from? Or do you even use media anymore? Or would you just prefer to carry a digital copy around on your old Zune that you've had for the last 17 years? Also, Disney, who has been remaking all their anime classics into live action such as Jungle Book and Dumbo, has cast Lady in Lady and the Tramp. Who was it? What do you think? Do you wish they would just stop doing remakes altogether? And finally, Dan Didio announced recently that DC is doing yet another Crisis crossover story. Do you care? What do you think about crossovers? Do you think it's just a cash grab? We'll discuss all that and more on Nerd News Now. Hey, welcome to Nerd News Now. It's Wednesday, August 15th, 2018. I'm joined here by Ashford and Miss Jen. Well, guys, let's get started with the news. Yesterday, Avengers Infinity War dropped on Blu-ray. Now, first off, what did you guys think about the movie? Would it even warrant a second watch to you?
Okay, well, one, I saw it 2 times at the theater, and I'm still thinking about it. I can't believe it's on DVD. Jen?
Basically, all I knew is that if I did not bring home the movie last night, then my children weren't going to let me in the house.
So I would take it that now you don't buy a lot of physical media.
Right.
I know vinyl, some CDs, which we've had that discussion, kids, what CDs are. But now, whenever looking for that, do you care? Like, do your kids, do they care where it came from? Do they care what comes with it? Any kind of like physical special features on it?
So basically, my attitude is that, and this is my experience only, if we buy something digitally, we forget where it is. So we're like, how do we log into the site? Which site was it in? How do we access it? So I don't do anything digital anymore. I'm one of those lame people that carries around CDs still, because I need the physical copy of things. So that's where I am. I totally understand people are digital people, but I just can't.
And, sorry to bring vinyl up again, because I'm someone where I want to know who wrote the songs. Like, I want to know, is this a Lennon McCartney song? Is this a George Harrison song? So I like credits. And with DVDs, if I buy a DVD, I'm watching all of the extras. So that's why I'm buying it for. Commentary and all.
And a lot of those features, and they can be cool when done correctly. And Marvel had been in the phase early on in the MCU of doing the one-shot movie. So you had like a Coulson standalone movie that came with either Iron Man or Thor. You had some other stuff that kind of stopped going away from that. Now they're going back to it a little bit with Thor. They've had some skits about his roommate, some stuff that was just really funny, good stuff. And obviously, like, you can have stuff like the World of Wakanda, which gives you like a big, long featurette, tells you the history of the characters. So that's all cool. As a nerd, I like to collect stuff. And so if you haven't bought it yet, now at Target, if you actually like to collect figures and things, they have an exclusive red chrome Iron Man from Pop Vinyl from Funko. So that's cool. If you are going to keep it just to a minimum, Walmart has the Blu-ray only, no DVD copy, no digital copy. And if you really want to live it up, go to Best Buy and you get the Steel-Ray Blu-ray, Steelbook Blu-ray, which looks really good on the shelf, and it's going to have Thanos with his Infinity Gauntlet. So just a really cool movie. Glad that it's out. It's just weird that it's out already. Like, how long did it take back in the 80s to get something on VHS?
You know what? Let's talk about that. So, like, back in the day, when a movie came out, let's say it came out in April, you would get the physical copy maybe by December? So how fast was this? So Infinity War came out in April.
Yeah.
And now we got it in August.
Right, but in the meantime, we even had another Marvel movie come out.
Yes.
So it was like kind of less of a wait, and there was a tie-in sequence at the end of that, the mid-credits. Now, this happened a few months ago, but I was in Walmart perusing the electronics, which is something very rare that I do now. Because I'll go to like a specialized store. But did you guys see the cross promotion with Deadpool? Because Deadpool comes out on Blu-ray next week. Have you seen this?
But just
Where-
in harder awesomeness.
Yeah.
So like you'll see a DVD for another movie, but Deadpool's on it.
He's on it.
That is insane.
Now
yeah.
I think that's just the slipcover. I mean, I haven't bought one to open it up and see, but he was on The Terminator, Predator, and my favorite, City Slickers. Like
Wow.
that is hilarious. So, what do you think about that cross promo? I can't remember that ever being done before.
I don't think it ever has, and I think it's brilliant because not only does it get other movies into the hands of people, because they picked really great movies, honestly. They didn't pick junky movies to put them on. It just brings more excitement. It makes complete sense. He breaks the fourth wall all the time. Why not break this wall too?
And again, being an older person, I love the fact of, okay, I did the movie like I'm the Deadpool character, right? So instead of going off and doing Shakespeare in the Park, or I will do Shakespeare in the Park, but that might take up 2 months of my time. I can't just put on a Deadpool outfit real quick or lend my voice to it and just do other things. So I love this day and time now where when we were kids, it would be something where I do this movie, but I'm too cool to go on the MTV Music Awards. I'm too cool to show up on this television show. But now that media is 1,000-fold, you can't just go on Johnny Carson, I'm sorry to use that dated term, but you can't just go on these 3 things and I'm done, because I don't watch those 3 things. I do Snapchat, I do this. So you better go on everything. You better get my attention every way possible. And I like that we live in that day and time. And, I don't want to offend anybody, but God bless Ryan Reynolds for I'm Deadpool 24/7. Great guy. I love it.
And you also mentioned this to me last week, that you see a lot of pictures and videos of some of the heroes going to children's hospitals. Like Chris Evans has done a lot. Gal Gadot is starting to do that a lot. And it's just really awesome to see them like in their, and they're not going to Party City and getting those costumes on the shelf.
Yeah.
Like they're using the actual studio given costumes, going in character, and brightening those kids' day who are having a really rough time. And like, I don't remember that happening.
Yeah, and
before this, day and age.
Well, like right now I'm wearing this Dalek t-shirt, and this is Doctor Who related, and you can see 1970s pictures of Tom Baker going into hospitals, watching the debut of his Doctor Who episode in people's households. Like he would knock on their door and go like, I want to watch it at your house. So like he's like, I'm Doctor Who all the time. So like to see Chris Evans like, I'm Captain America all the time, I'm glad to see that. And it's not like, and we live in this day and age now where it's not taboo to do television and then go to movies and then go to this. So back in the day, it would be like, well, I'm not going to be Captain America. That's going to ruin my acting career. No, you can. If you're a good actor, they'll put you in a drama. So
Snowpiercer.
yeah.
Go watch it on DVD.
Yeah. So, and just to kind of keep things Marvel, you brought up Iron Man. And if you watch Iron Man Part 1, or I believe it was Part 2, you'll see there's some footage of Ghostface. He's a rapper from Staten Island. He's part of the Wu-Tang Clan. And back in like the late 90s, they did this thing where the Wu-Tang members, like they did these aliases, and he was Tony Stark. And Inspector Deck, he was Raleigh Fingers. That's some old school picture. And so I was listening to Ghostface on the way up here, and it made me think about Iron Man. Just keep it.
Raleigh Fingers, just side note, has one of the best mustaches ever. So
Wow.
Look up a picture.
Yeah.
Elsewhere in the news last week, Fantastic Four made us triumphant. I'm going to ask you guys. Return to Marvel Comics. Did you read it? What do you think? I know you read it, Jen.
Yeah. Kind of have to, because it's the best. Okay, so the first family of comic books is back, but not all the way. So all of the family members were addressed in the book, but you finally get to see that the Sue and Reed are not together with the rest of the family yet. And how they're going to get them together, I have no idea. It looks like it's going to be super difficult. And on top of that news, Marvel actually released some images today of what's going forward. There's actually another team that's entering the fray that I don't know. All we've ever seen is just the still image of, I can't remember the name they've given them.
I think it's the Fantastics.
Yeah, the Fantastics, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was like I like it because it takes them back to those really cool, legit white costumes they had for a while that I love so much. Yeah, so I'm excited about that jump forward to find out how they get them together, who makes it. Heard weird rumors about no kids, but I don't know.
Now, speaking, I'm going back to my question from the previous topic about digital versus hard copy. Like, I love comics. I love to collect them. I have certain favorite artists where if I'm not even reading a book, I'll have to grab that book. Like Amanda Conner did a Supergirl variant where she was petting Krypta, and I bought it. Just, oh, it's Amanda Conner. I will say I found a little bit of relief in buying the digital Fantastic Four issue this week in order to read it for this, because there was like 40 variants. And I love variants, but is that overkill?
You know what? I mean, apparently there's an audience for it. You're a big variant guy. I don't really care about variants. I just want the story. But I guess if they keep doing it, someone must want all of them. And you know how things are today where you don't have to sell 1 million copies. Just if you sell 1,000 collections, where instead of selling like 1 million albums, if I just have 4,000 like collection sets where it costs $56, that's all you need. So I guess there's a need for variants, I guess.
I keep on wondering when we're going to get to, because surely we will, when we get to variant overload, where you have 26 different variants for the same book. You're always going to have those people that want to be completist. At what point does the completist in someone mean that they can't pay rent? Or when it becomes too much? When does it happen? I like choice. Choice is amazing. When the idea is pick the favorite one, it's one thing. When it's now I have to have all of them, then it becomes a little overwhelming, and I think it in some way overshadows the fact that it's a great book in itself. I think people start hating on the book. It has nothing to do with the actual interior of the book. It's just like, okay, there's too much out there. I'm not going to read any of it at all. That's when it's sad.
Yeah, and as far as the book goes itself, I got a chance to read it too. I really just love it. Dan Slott, I knew would do a great job because he had such a long run Amazing Spider-Man. I think Sarah Pichelli for the art was an incredible choice because it's that blend between like the sort of painted realistic look and the super animated look. It's like the perfect for them. And I just like the way that, no real spoilers here, but like things in it, Johnny Storm's in it, they remind you Fantastic Four is a big deal. They remind you that they're, in one of the biggest cities because he's a Mets fan. And then they have two really fun bonus stories in that issue too. One was about Dr. Doom, and then one was just a really quick thing by Scotty Young. But
Doom story.
And the Doom story is like he's not in it, but he's in it. So it's like this is a reminder that they're great, he's great. I think it's going to keep going. Now, I think what most people are excited about is this means at some point it's like, okay, Marvel remembers that they existed, right? And now, when are they going to be in the movie? So the question is, can they make a good Fantastic Four movie?
Oh yeah, I think it's been already cast in everyone's brains. I think that if they don't get those people on film now, I think there'll be riots in streets.
Now, do you remember who some of the names were? Or do you have any ideas of who you would put in there?
Well, I think, I've seen a side-by-side picture this last week of the cover that was the Art Germ variant cover of Mr. Fantastic, and then John, what's his last name? Brain broken. He and his wife just starred in a silent plays together. Quiet Place.
Oh, John Krasinski as Mr. Fantastic.
Yes.
And then, now, his wife, Emily Blunt, can actually play a great Invisible Woman. I don't know if that was out there or not.
Yes. In my brain, and a lot of nerd fan brain, that's it. They've already
And you can dye, Hollywood, you can dye hair blonde. So if you want to cast them, just go ahead and do it right now.
Yeah.
Wow, I mean, that's pretty cool.
But I do think it can work. I think it's got to be the right story. I'll tell you the way I would write it in there, and this is assuming that Sony and Disney / now Fox can work this out, is put them in the story where Tom Holland is stuck with a black symbiote on him in like Spider-Man 3 or whatever.
The church bells.
Yeah, and bring him back and have Reed Richards. But that's exactly what we want. We want to be excited about this because who else? Like we need to show immediately that he's got the go-to brain.
Well, let me mention this, and what they've done since Fantastic Four is not involved in the Marvel Cinematic Universe right now, they've gone to Doctor Strange. Like, hey, I got this need. We need to go to this guy. and they've been doing that in the movie. So I haven't read the new Fantastic Four, but I don't know where they're going to go as far as direction. But I like Mr. Fantastic when he's so focused on the mission. So I remember like before it went away, one of the last stories, it was a situation where he was meeting these other Reed Richards from like other dimensions and Earths, and they was like, hey, do you want to be a good husband, or do you want to help thousands of Earths in world hunger? And he was like, well, I guess that's the most. And it's like, no, dude, you're messing. But I like when there's like, you're so driven, like you're losing all this, like you're the absent-minded professor. And I kind of like that idea of him, but I do like that he is the go-to guy for like, hey, I need help with this situation. Can you help me? Like, yeah, we'll send off the Hulk into space, and then we're gonna regret it later. Who knows?
Yeah, I'm just really excited with the possibility, especially because the last one with Miles Teller and Michael B. Jordan, they try to go a totally different direction, too dark, just too formulaic, and I will never forgive that second sequel of the Chris Evans, Jessica Alba movies where they made Galactus to a storm cloud. Like, I'm never going to forgive that. Like, imagine Galactus now. Like, if you get the roster up to like 50, then bring on Galactus. So that is going to be awesome. Now, kind of sticking with Marvel-ish, or definitely Disney news, they have finally cast the voice of Lady in the upcoming Lady and the Tramp remake. Now, there's different variables here, so we'll just go ahead and tell you it's Tessa Thompson. Now, Tessa Thompson played Valkyrie in Thor Ragnarok, and she also played, I don't know if either of you seen Creed, but she was the girlfriend in Creed, and she'll be reprising that role this Thanksgiving in Creed 2. So what do you think of that casting?
I was just thinking about her voice and what it sounds like, and I'm just like, that's perfect. How perfect is that for her?
And Justin Theroux has been in a million different things, but most recently of note, the Leftovers on HBO. He's going to be voicing Tramp. So I think they're a really good combo. Now, the bigger question here is, what do you think of them? Started with Jungle Book, it's going to be Dumbo. What do you think of them remaking the animated movies into live action?
Well, okay. Oh, yeah. What do you think about that?
Are they live actioning it, or are they doing the?
It's the mix. It's the mixed, but it's like Jungle Book, like Beauty and the Beast.
Yeah. Where they mix the human characters.
And the human characters have not been cast yet. But for me, I'm so incredibly excited about the casting of Lion King. Like, it is gonna be, you got Donald Glover, aka Childish Gambino, Simba, and then you got Beyonce as Nala, and then just, it's insane. Like, Seth Rogen is in there, Billy Eichen is Timon and Pumbaa. So to me, it's like, if you want to introduce your kids to the cartoons, they're there. So let's give them this too. But some people get really offended when it's like, what? How could you dare remake Lion King? It's like, well, it's on Broadway. There's been, direct to, TV cartoons for it. There's books.
Think about how you got the Grimm Brothers. Like, did you get it in its original form?
Right.
Or did you watch those stories on Showtime like I did where, Shelley Duvall, she was in the Little Red Riding Hood. Was that the original version? No. So, we got to think about it. It's not 1930 anymore.
Well, we already had kind of the jump in between with the 101 Dalmatians Glenn Close live.
Yeah.
That was a brilliant, brilliant thing. And I think that my kids liked both equally, so they would ask for them. We just say which one.
Now, have y'all seen the Jungle Book?
No.
Okay. So the voice acting is incredible. Idris Elba and a slew of others, but like the animation is so good. Like, it is so good. It's CGI animals talking, and I'm not like, oh, this is fake. No, I'm just like, this is awesome. So I think the technology is there. You have the star power there. Now, question though, what is one movie that you guys would not be happy with if they remade? And not Disney, but just anything.
Okay, before we go into that, I want to talk about, I'm not familiar with Lady and the Tramp. Like, I'm starting to realize my Disney knowledge is like almost kaput. So I'm interested in how they're going to tell that story because I want to bring this up real quick. This is just a little tangent. Is like, okay, so when you listen to the song by Billy Joel, Uptown Girl, she lives in Uptown, he lives in downtown. Now with the socio-political economic situation and gentrification, is the geography of those classes, does it still mean the same thing? So is a downtown guy, a working class guy, and does that mean that it's just an uptown girl? So I'm interested in seeing, like with Lady and the Tramp, how they're going to introduce this whole thing of the classes between those two, because I don't think that's a thing in storytelling right now. So that's going to be pretty interesting. Now, I'm a big guy with, if they're going to remake Ghostbusters, don't cry about it. Let them do it, right? But I think if they said, we're going to remake Back to the Future, I wouldn't say anything on this camera, but I think I would kick a box at home. Yeah.
For me, it's The Princess Bride. That needs to be left alone forever.
I agree with both of those. Now, if they did another sequel to Back to the Future, well,
that'd be fine.
And with Michael J. Fox's kid, that would.
No, let's say this. Touch Back to the Future. That's interesting. Like, you know what? Even if they remade it without even acknowledging Michael J. Fox, I can't believe I'm saying that. Go ahead and do that. But the thing about Princess Bride is the sensibilities of that movie, and at that time, I think with Back to the Future, that story, you could do that even if you're in a different time period. But I think with Princess Bride, it has such a humor to it, and it came out of nowhere. That was the thing about it, too. So I think if you tried to remake that, would you get that feeling back? So I like your idea about Don't Touch Princess Bride.
Yeah, I mean, because I think that's a standalone movie. Like, they already had the sequels and
Yes.
Do you remember the cartoon, The Adventures of Jules and Verne?
It was good.
It was good.
Yeah. But I do want to say this, though, with Back to the Future, you talked about how, like, hey, they had a Avengers movie and then, bam, an Ant-Man movie. I remember when I saw Back to the Future Part 2 at the theater, before you got out of there, they showed a trailer for Back to the Future Part 3. My mind was blown. I thought it took like 5 years to make a movie. So I was like, whoa, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, because I haven't seen that in a while, to where they kind of tease. But now they're starting to shoot movies, at the same time. And with things like, it's not a movie, but like on Netflix, Stranger Things, you have to shoot that fast because those kids are growing exponentially. Yes. And you're trying to make it the Harry Potter of Netflix, where you want to go, I think the creators said they want to go 7 years, but you better hurry.
Yeah.
Like, you better have it written while you're shooting and then on to the next one, on to the next one.
Yeah, because you can't be like the 80s where I'm 33 years old playing a high school student.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes it actually still works.
Yeah.
But, so moving on, going back, still talking on the subject of movies. So weekend box office, summer here is over, school's back in session. As far as the weekend box office, the Meg one, did either of you check that out?
No.
I loved it.
You did?
Hokey, bloody, gory awesomeness.
Now was it big screen worthy?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
I had friends at work, and they said that, the audience was just collectively laughing and then laughing at each other for going to see the movie after it let out as they're walking out of the theater. So that kind of wrapped up, summer box office, which is obviously the big time. Now we're going to have some stuff kind of trickle out. We're going to get into October with Venom and Halloween and some horror type movies, try to pick up on that Halloween money and crowd. And then we'll get into Oscar season. But sticking with this summer, do you guys have a favorite? I'll just do a quick rundown. Incredibles 2 made a ton of money, $590 million. It was followed by Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, then Deadpool 2, then Solo, a Star Wars story, and then rounding out the top 5 was Ant-Man and the Wasp. Do you guys have a favorite? Was it one of those? Was it not one of those?
I think for me, it's going to take some kind of crazy catastrophe to have Marvel not win the box office for a long time. Because I love those characters, and they continue to just kill it with storyline and acting, casting, and for me, I'm always looking ahead to when's the next time I can sit my butt in a theater and watch another Marvel something. Whatever it is, I don't care. It's going to be a long time for them to run out of good storyline, so...
Yeah, and people for a while, and when I say for a while, I mean really since Iron Man 1 was successful, have been just shouting, like, doom is coming for you. Like, it's going to, the bottom will drop out. And it hasn't happened yet. To them, they say, oh, it's a failure because it made $300 million. I'm like, it made $300 million. Like, okay. Like, but it's not a failure because one is Disney. They're not like scraping, the bottom of Scrooge's money bin to try to stay afloat. Like, they're okay. And then obviously, Infinity War, I think it just cracked the top 3 domestic all time. Or, Black Panther did. I mean, so domestically, it cracked 700 mil. So no, if Ant-Man and the Wasp doesn't break half a billion, it doesn't matter. So but I think it's still sustainable for a long time to come. But outside of that list, did you have a favorite, or is one of your favorites in that top 5?
Probably out of those, my favorite I watched the most time at the movie theaters is probably the Jurassic Park, mostly because I have younger kiddos, and anything with dinosaurs wins the day. But other than that, it was actually a really good movie. I think at some point it's going to get really hokey. It's like, okay, how many different species of something that looks like a T-Rex or a Velociraptor can you make before everyone's like, okay, whatever. But they continue to make really interesting character choices where they always have really good comedy relief. They put good tension between, okay, so full disclosure, I hate the character Claire so much. I want to pitchfork her to death. If you gave one to me, I would do it. But she's perfect foil for Owen as a character. It's just like she's like, you just went in the first movie, she made so many bad decisions as the director of that facility. You're just like, who gave you the keys to this place?
And myself, I only saw one summer movie, and that was Ocean's 8. So my whole thing is, hey, I want Cate Blanchett in everything that I watch. Mm-hmm. I remember seeing her in Hannah. I think that came out like in 2011. That was my favorite movie. And she was also in The Life Aquatic, where it was a scene with Bill Murray and Cate Blanchett in a hot air balloon, and they were at close proximity. He put a gun out on her. But other than that, that's the only thing that I saw. But hey, Cate Blanchett for everything. I want her in the Birds of Prey movie. As which character? All of them.
All of them, whatever.
Yeah.
And for me, I think it's Ant-Man and the Wasp. Just because it was really important. Normally, I don't care about box office. And I will go to Rotten Tomatoes just to see if a movie is like worth my while. If it's not above 60, I'm not going to go. And it's not because I'm listening to the masses, because most stuff I'm looking up is independent movies. So it's going to be stuff like Sorry to Bother You, which also starred Tessa Thompson. Very interesting watch. But with Ant-Man and the Wasp, it was important to me that movie do well, and I'm glad it cracked the top 5 in the summer because it was the first Marvel movie with a female, lead. Like
in the title.
Even though it was Ant-Man and the Wasp, it is still very important. And I think people are going to be blown away by Captain Marvel. Like, they're going to be doing some stuff. And they have to, because it's going to be the movie before Avengers 4. Mm-hmm. But I think that's going to do really well. But that's the only time I really care about the box office. It's just, I want a movie to do well, because there's a lot of movies out there, and Wonder Woman was one of them, where as if it bombs, people are like, and that's why we don't do this type of movie. And I hate that. Right. So I'm really glad that did well. Are there any movies later this year you guys are looking forward to?
Oh gosh, it's weird. I'm at the part of my life where comic books are reigning supreme, and I almost have no time to go watch movies. So, I'm sure there should be something. If I looked at what the release stuff for next week is, I will want to go see everything that's on the list, but get to go see none of them. So that's that. But
I don't know if there's a movie with Ben Kingsley. It's like a World War II Nazi movie.
Yeah, I cannot remember the name of it, but it's getting a lot of praise.
That one, and the movie with Lady Gaga and
where she's going around
singing.
Performing.
Yeah. So I remember seeing a trailer for that, and I'm like, I think I might want to check that out.
Well, she gets discovered, right?
Yeah, that's one of those fall movies where it's like, hey, this one's for adults.
Yeah.
I might check that out. I don't know.
The one I really do want to go see, and I can't remember the name of it, but it's Adam Driver, and I can't remember who else is in it. but it's the storyline is basically that there's a black gentleman that's infiltrated the Klan.
It's Black Klansman.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
like
That's
it-
Spike Lee
by
joint.
Spike Lee.
Yeah.
I want to see that so desperately.
Yeah, and I'm hearing a lot of good things about that. Well, looking forward to the fall, I want to see Venom. I want to see Venom with Tom Hardy. People, for some reason, they were really turned off by the first trailer. And now they want to see it. Now they're like, oh, that second trailer was great. And like, there wasn't really a whole lot more.
I don't know. I just
added.
when I see that Venom character, it scares me. Like, to stare at it, I feel like I have to look away for a second. Like, I think it's like horrific.
Yeah, they made him glossy, so he looks real.
I just think it looks scary.
Mm.
I don't know. I don't watch horror movies, so I guess I'm easily freaked out.
And then past that, Creed 2. I mean, I'm just a big Rocky guy.
When does that come out?
That's going to be Thanksgiving. And that's what it was 2 years ago, too.
Philadelphia.
So, yep. And, okay, so finally, here's another question. We're kind of going back. We were talking about the variant covers earlier, and is it too much? Is it overkill? How much can you expect fans to spend? So DC just announced recently, probably at Comic-Con, that they're going to have another Crisis crossover coming up. This one's going to be, I think it's Heroes in Crisis. Okay, and they've sort of like already said, someone jokingly said, well, you can't have a Crisis without a Flash dying. Yeah. So now people are kind of like, well, which Flash is going to die? Yeah. Now, Ashford, you read something about some of the characters that are going to be involved, or their head might be on the chopping block.
So, yeah, some characters that might be on the chopping block. Wally West, so that could be a Flash that dies.
My first thought.
And what's crazy about that is he just came back.
Yes.
So you'd be like, all right. And then you have Kyle Rayner, and my introduction into DC, he was a Green Lantern at the time. Mm-hmm. He's kind of like a 90s MTV type Green Lantern, and it would be kind of a shame because he has like a half Latino heritage, so you'd be kind of killing that off. And then I think Nightwing might be on the docket. And Dan Dito, years ago, he was going to kill Nightwing off, and there was a big backlash. And he was like, "Oh, you guys like Nightwing? I didn't think you liked him."
Everyone likes Nightwing.
Yeah. So I really like Nightwing. I like Chuck Dixon's run on him. But lately, I've taken a lot of pot shots at Nightwing because he's just so pretty and perfect. I want to punch him.
But
One
that's
of those
why,
situations.
honestly, this is what I've seen: is that the girls in my shop, they all read it. And the joke is for his perfect.
He's pretty.
Posterior.
And he's also he's perfect. Like I like Nightwing because it's like he would be a better Batman. Because he would be a better partner, and he would clean up Gotham sooner. Because Batman's going home the long way around. I don't want to offend anybody, but I just did. So you know what? To be honest with you, I know this is going to offend everybody. It's going to even offend me. But is it too many Flashes? Is it too many Green Lanterns of Earth? Is it too many, is it too many Robins? Like, is this ridiculous?
Only in that most people can't, if you, gave them the rundown, they wouldn't be able to tell you who is who.
So here's something else, too, with crossovers. So they go into crossovers going, this is a vanity project. Like, there's this big name on it, that's why we're telling it. Or, okay, you might want to read this crossover because someone's going to die. What if you just write a very well-written story? Would I feel shortchanged because someone didn't die in it? So, we live in this day and age now where you have Game of Thrones, you have Walking Dead, where people die. There's no, and I just kind of think some people feel kind of cheated when there's not a death, like a character doesn't go away, and I think that may be a little overrated, especially with DC, that's kind of not its DNA where it has to be gory and guts. So I think you could tell a story where, to bring up Doctor Who, I love stories where they refer to something in the past, they move the ball forward, and they tell a good story all within the same story. And if someone dies, I guess, but if someone didn't die, I wouldn't feel cheated. I don't know. What do you think about crossover events? Do you think it's a big cash grab? I think when they have a story that's necessary, I'm all about it. But when I feel like, I think you did this for a cash grab, I'm like, I'll wait for that crossover to go by, and then I'll read about it later.
You know what I really think happens when these big storylines come out? I think what happened is that they get together. So Marvel and DC have independent, they're the story retreats that they do. So all of the writers get together and go on this retreat together for, I don't know if it's a week, probably is. And I think what happens is that those writers get together and they have a story they've always wanted to tell since they were like a kid, and they pitch it. I think it gets pitched, and then they have to talk amongst themselves. Does this mess up anyone else's universe that they're currently writing? So in this case, I think it's Tom King saying, hey, I've had this story in my heart forever that I really wanted to tell. Is now my time? Can I do it now? Have I proven myself? And I think that's what we're going to see. Is I think it's independent of money. I don't think that the writers get incentivized by that, except for like, I want to keep my job. I think they're like, can I write this thing, please?
So, and I've always told Mark this, like, just use DC as an example. If you're going to do a crossover event and it involves a lot of DC characters, just do it in Justice League. Like, it should be where, like, Justice League is the main line, where if I read that book, I know everything that's going on in DC. Why have Justice League, where it's all these characters, oh, and this other thing, and another thing? So, like, if I'm doing this Green Lantern story where it's a Green Lantern Corps, and it's like the Wu-Tang where they have 1 million members, why would that have a crossover event? It already has 1 million members.
Yeah.
Why do it? And it has 2 books.
By the way, Justice League this week literally takes place inside of Superman.
Yeah. Okay. Edit that. Edit it. And I read it. I know what you're talking about, but edit that. Keep it. Let's keep this rated G.
Now, after you brought up a couple of good points, is that there are actually some reasons why they could do crossover events. It's usually like a calling of too many characters, like you mentioned. Are there any of these big, massive events that you love, that you're like, I'm glad that this happened because it brought me this character, or it took this character away, or it showed me that this is happening?
Batman No Man's Land pretty much is my entryway into DC as far as understanding it. And out of that came a lot of things, but one thing is Cassandra Cain, Batgirl, which will be in the Birds of Prey movie.
And for me, there's been a through storyline that I know a lot of people are like super polarized by Nick Spencer's writing, but he's been setting up the storyline for like 4 years now. This through line with Steve Rogers through all of the books involving Kobik, which is my favorite character of all time, because she's a cosmic cube. Why not? But just like that whole Secret Empire storyline, just that made it a little bit crazy. But the implications going forward, it's still taking place. Like, Steve still is universally not trusted, so he took this character that was like all American, everyone trusted, and put all of their efforts into him, and trust is just like is blown up, and it still has implications in the universe today. And I like making more complex characters out of something that was like very simple of a service. So
yeah, why don't you wrap this up?
Well, just my thoughts on that real quick are just Secret Wars, the second one. The problem I have, I like what it did, even though it took away the Fantastic Four. but it was, the point was like, let's bring Miles Morales over here, let's bring Spider-Gwen over here. And I love those 2 characters, so I love that it did that. But it's just like, you go to the comic book store and every week it's like, well, now there's this brand new 4-issue miniseries, and this one, and this one, and this one, and this one. And it's just, for a regular person to be not only like buy but read all those comics, it is an incredible amount of stuff. It's just an incredible amount of stuff to do. But as long as it's a good story, and you know, Tom King's going to be helming it, so that's going to be awesome. But I was at Fan Expo Dallas earlier this year, and I got to meet Scott Snyder. And so I was in like this panel with him and Greg Capullo, and you are right in that like they're basically just doing their job. It's all on the publisher, because he was talking about Death of the Family, which was a crossover event, and obviously to do with the Batman family in the New 52 series, maybe about halfway through that. And he actually apologized to the crowd because they were just throwing that name on the other books, and he had no idea. So people were waiting for this like huge payoff in you know, Batman that he was writing with Capullo, and it didn't happen. He's like, oh, I had no idea that this was a thing, and you guys were investing like all this money. So I think if it's on the up and up, it's a good story. It calls the universe a little bit. I think then it's fine. I mean, it is just, it's a thing. It's like, it's just the same way TV, you know, has their big episodes for Nielsen ratings, even still with DDR and stuff. That, you got to go based on events. Well, that's about all the time we have for today. Now, Jen, you had last second news about Mark Hamill.
Oh, it's like, just go and join the fray. Mark implied today that there were more stories that needed to be told and could be told that happened between Jedi and everyone's favorite movie, Force Awakens. So join the fray, try to figure out what those storylines are, because it sounds like he has some really good ideas.
Well, he's just such an ambassador for Star Wars that I'm sure anything he does, people are going to follow, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's going to be, whether you want Luke Skywalker or not, he's always going to be a part of it. So, to me, that's awesome. You guys have anything else?
And he's the voice of Joker.
Yeah, he is.
Mm-hmm.
He is the voice of Joker. Well, that's all the time we have for Nerd News now. For Ashford and Miss Jen, I'm Mark. Join us next time for all your news in the world of nerds and geeks.
Cheers.